They hit 21 threes, and Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Derek White combined for 15 of them. So those guys are good shooters, but
when Draymond Green said that following game one, a lot of people laughed at him. But the reality is Draymond was very, very correct about the Celtics shooting and how unsustainable it was for Al Horford, Derek White, and Marcus Smart to look like Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant in game one of the NBA Finals. And they certainly came crashing back down to earth. But before we talk about the Warriors' defense and just how special it was, and it was truly special when you can hold a team like Boston to 14 points on 23% shooting in the third quarter and keep them to their lowest score of the playoffs so far. But before then, it's time to once again spotlight Steph and Curry. Because if you want to talk about criticism, I saw people saying Steph Curry was not clutch, or he was not that guy following the fourth quarter collapse of the Warriors, which strangely, he got all the blame for. And that's fine. If you want to give him all the blame for game one, let's give him his credit for game two. 29 points in 3 quarters sounds great, but it doesn't do his impact justice. During the first half, the Warriors' defense held up, but if it wasn't for Steph, they would have been down by 20 points, because no one else on offense showed up. Wiggins was the only other one with over 7 points at halftime, and the second and third scoring options, Paul and Klay, combined for 2 of 13 and 5 points. Luckily, Steph did Steph things, and that involved plays like this. Yeah, that was pretty much how the Celtics defended him all game long. And this play right here was pretty simple. Steph got the ball out top with Horford on him. He blows straight past Horford, and every single Celtics defender not named Jason Tatum helps over to form a crowd. And in response to that, Steph slips it into Looney for an easy bucket. Or on this play, where again he has Horford on an island and forces the help side defense from Marcus Smart before threading a no-look pass to a cutting Wiggins. However, as important as his first half was to keep the Warriors in the game and somehow in front, the third quarter explosion that entailed a 26-2 run was a thing of beauty. And it wasn't just Steph, but these 2 threes he made, along with his 14 points, helped a lot. And while we're going to focus on those 2 threes, the impact Curry has on the home crowd when he makes these kind of shots on back-to-back plays, I don't think gets talked about enough.
Golden State with another stop, trying to close out this third quarter better than they did in game one. Curry cooking! A colossal three!
The pandemonium inside Chase Arena that has happened in every single series so far whenever Steph Curry gets hot has a flow-on effect that we saw a couple of plays later, which I will mention, but it is consistently changing the games when he makes a couple of shots, particularly when he's making 30-foot threes in the face of Daniel Tice's drop coverage, which I don't know if Daniel Tice got the memo, but you don't play drop coverage against Steph Curry. But getting back to the momentum, this momentum carried on for someone else, and that was Jordan Poole, who made back-to-back threes as well, including this shot.
Poole with the ball. Launches.
And I've seen a lot of people dismissing the last few threes from Paul and his second half scoring because the game was kind of close to over, even though the Celtics did come back the game prior, but it's much more than just a couple of shots. This was the first time all series Jordan Poole had looked comfortable, his confidence looked up, and he looked like the player we had seen in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, the player that helped the Warriors get to the NBA Finals. And if he can carry that momentum forward, along with what Curry is doing, and the defense, and hopefully Klay Thompson, I'm not too sure on that, we'll have to get back to Klay Thompson at a later date. But if they can carry that momentum forward, the offense is going to be firing on all cylinders. However, the offense wasn't even the most impressive part of the game. Defensively, the Warriors need a lot of credit because, as I mentioned, they held the Celtics to their lowest score all playoffs long. And they did it through more than just Draymond Green. They did it with guys like Otto Porter Jr. and GP2 stepping up. 2 X factors making crucial plays. Just watch this from GP2 with the Warriors up 23 points in the fourth quarter. He's out top on Tatum. White sets a screen before slipping the screen, which Belly does a fantastic job of recognizing and covering. By the way, he did fantastic defensively, but GP2 does an even better job of recognizing the backdoor cut from Horford and gets in the passing lane. And that's what's so good about this Warriors defense. They've got a couple of exceptional individual defenders, but apart from that, they've got guys that are willing to work and to make the right rotations at all times. And here's another example of that. Looney gets blown past by Marcus Smart, and as a result, Steph steps over to try and draw the charge, which slows down Smart enough for Looney to recover and block the shot. And I know I just spent 5 minutes talking about Steph on offense, so we're not going to do the same thing on defense, but if you're not seeing what he's doing defensively, if you're not seeing him looking like an all-defensive guard at times out there, then you're not watching the games. And he was exceptional defensively in Game 2, and has been all season long. But here's one more great example of the Warriors' connectivity. Horford sets a pick for Tatum and slips out of it. Wiggins recovers quickly to the middle of the floor before Looney steps up and takes Horford, which allows Wiggins to slide over to Rob Williams, who is a much less capable post scorer. Just smart plays, smart rotations, and reads at all times. But quickly getting back to the 2 X factors that I mentioned. Let's just take a second to appreciate that Otto and GP2 are playing on minimum contracts and providing maximum value with not only their active hands and intensity on the defensive end of the floor, but their timely shots. Think back to the Denver series where GP2 was a major factor in Game 5 down the stretch, or Otto Porter Jr. making clutch shots in the Dallas series. These two guys need a lot more credit. And the guy who gets a decent amount of credit but could always get more is Draymond Green. And if you want to know the reason as to why Jaylen Brown was annoyed at Draymond Green following the game and during the game, it wasn't really because of the little scuffle they had. It was because Draymond took on the challenge of guarding Brown following his performance from last game, and well, he absolutely locked him up. We saw it on this isolation possession where Draymond stifled him on every possible move he could try, but it was also Draymond's quickness and length on closeouts that made him really uncomfortable from 3 following the first few shots that he made, and in general, that was the theme for the Warriors defense. They were attacking these 3-point shots with a lot more aggression and were determined to not allow Boston to get a rhythm like they had in Game 1. And if you did make it to the end of the video, a like would be much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel. Have a great day. Bye.